Ave, Jay from the Aquarius Temple here. In this video, I'm going to talk about the tides of time and what to do to thrive in the new era, the era of Aquarius. There doesn't seem to be a lot of information on the topic apart from the fact that somehow we now live in a new era. It has a different name, but I've realized that most people don't understand what it means in practice and the impact on how we show up, how we exist, how we live our lives is actually enormous. So you can see time like water, like a form of energy that has tides to it, and they roll in and withdraw at certain intervals. So for the last 2000 years, we lived in a current called Pisces, the era of Pisces, a lot softer, a lot more feminine, a lot more just pray and let the universe deliver. And the new era is very different. It's masculine, it's sharp, it's not pray and hope for the best. It's level up and get from life what you want. Here's how it works. There is something called the cycle of precession. So every 2000, roughly 2160 years, the current of time flips its polarity. And apart from it acquiring different qualities, it also oscillates between electric and magnetic, feminine and masculine, solar and lunar. And so for the last 2000 years, we lived in a reality that was very soft, very lunar, and full of secrets, secret orders, secret ways of doing things. And as I said, pray and hope for the best and let others decide. So being on the receiving end, where you let other people decide what is happening in your life and you just follow along, is a very feminine way of being. And you can notice that even for men, their expression softened a lot over the last era, where from the previous type, when they were strong, sharp, building empires, the last 2000 years we have chivalry, emotion, softness, and following someone else's leadership. But now with the advent of the new era, where the polarity flipped back from the feminine to the masculine, like when it was 4000 years ago, we are increasingly being presented with the choice of showing up as the old era, ineffective, being left by the wayside, or choosing to move fast, level up, think for yourself, decide for yourself, and be a creator of your reality rather than being on the receiving end of what other people decide your life should be. And the interesting thing about this is that the energy of time shapes our consciousness directly. So it doesn't ask whether we like it or agree with it. It just molds us in the way that water with a pigment would color everything that gets into it. So we are now all colored with this new energy of the era of Aquarius, which is sharper, masculine, and a lot more electric than the previous one. In fact, it's the exact opposite of what came before. And you can see it everywhere, how rapidly the world around us changes. AI, the internet, crypto, takeaway delivered by drones. Things that people even 50 years ago thought of as sci-fi and futuristic. We just live in this world now. And the speed is so massive that it feels like it's happening overnight. So this gives you an idea of what the energy of the new era is like. And if you want to win, you have to think fast, move fast, and decide for yourself. And for that, you need to understand your priorities, understand what you stand for, and what type of a guy, of a person you are deep down. This is also why it's tragic to look around at what's happening in self-development right now, because just as old financial structures are becoming increasingly more and more outdated, and all techniques and certain ideas become outdated as well. And not just outdated as in ineffective, some of them are actually putting you at a disadvantage. So they're making you weaker, because every era of human consciousness expresses masculinity and femininity differently. And so right now, the principle of masculine core, masculine presence is becoming increasingly more and more urgent. And notice that people who choose to, say, work for themselves tend to be in a much better position than people who work 9 to 5 that depend on the paycheck because jobs are disappearing so fast. And so a simple example from the year of Pisces that you might have heard because it's quite popular in self-development is surrender and accept what is. Now, that idea comes directly from the feminine receiving polarity, and so accepting what is directly contradicts the tendencies and the energy of the new time. And so if you try to live that way, you will be overtaken by those who decide to think for themselves and take what they want from life every single time. This era is not the era of surrendering, it's the era of troubleshooting. So if you're not getting from life what you want, try to find the bug in your mental code. Try to see what errors in your mind causing that reality's response. And one thing I really like about this new era, and it's really exciting to see, is that it pulls us away from being too obsessed with physical reality and actually embracing the other part of our nature, the divine part, more. So we as human beings exist on two planes. One part of us is physical, but the other part is divine. In the previous era, there was some emphasis on spirituality, but it was disconnected. So life was mostly revolving around your physical needs, physical things, how to get money, how to be safe here in physical reality. And then obviously pray to God for help and hope for the best. But in this new era of human consciousness, notice how self-development, that whole idea of spiritual development, has exploded compared to even a couple of decades ago. And the reason why this is happening is because the new era is forcing us to level up and is forcing us to stay grounded in the physical reality, but embrace our divine nature as well. This is why in my videos I talk about the alta man, alta coming from Latin word for elevation or ascent. It means simply a higher form of human being, the next step of human evolution. And this is what the energy of the new time is pushing you towards. So the faster you embrace that, the quicker you start moving in the direction that is aligned with the current of time, the faster you will win and the more amazing your life is going to become. So if you want to win big, get rid of your emotional pain and insecurity, live an amazing life and create a legacy that matters, start living up spiritually in a way that is truly aligned with your masculine core. In other words, become an alta. You can learn more about this concept from my book, Lightborn, the Alta World Shift. And if you have any questions, simply drop them below this video and consider joining our Telegram group. This was Jay from the Aquarius Temple. May Aquarius guide you.